Hello and welcome back to this YouTube channel. If you are already visiting this, and if it is your first time, then you are most welcome to attend my classes here. So, for your information, I would like to say that if you don't know, then this is the current affairs series from last 1.5 year, which is going on in here for the prelims 2024, which is very near to us. So, with regard to this, I had already completed the current affairs related to polity and international relations. Now it is the turn of Indian economy. It would be the second class related to Indian economy, and today we are going to discuss at least 9 topics which were in the news. So, without wasting any time, let us discuss the news, is the important developments here. You know, here we would come across some concepts which are very much static. I would assume that you already know that, so I will not elaborate that those topics that much, because in economy you would come across mostly you would come across static topics. So what my main aim is here, to deliver the information, to deliver the developments which could be useful for your exams. So, without wasting any time, let's jump to our topic. As you could see it here, that the Union Ministry of Commerce and Industry notified the Foreign Trade Policy 2023. So, about foreign trade policy, when we trade with some other country, there are some criterias under which we trade. There are some rules, there are some tariffs, there would be money, different criterias which we have to follow, different rules. So let's discuss about it. Which currency would we use, in which currency the trade would happen, and what is our status in the foreign trade? Are we in surplus, or are we in deficit? So let's discuss all about it. About foreign trade policy 2023 notification. It was notified by the central government in the exercise of powers conferred under Section 5 of the Foreign Trade Development and Regulation Act 1992. Under this act, this Foreign Trade Policy 2023 notification was notified by the central government. About its principles, it is based on the continuity of time-tested schemes, adopting principles responsiveness such to as the requirements of trade and trust and partnership with exporters. And also here we could see that foreign trade policy 2015 to 2020, this was extended due to the COVID pandemic, and due to the volatile geopolitical scenarios like we have Russia-Ukraine war, or the new war between Palestine and Israel. And here we can see that India has reached record high export performance, and India's merchandise and service exports are expected to cross around USD 760 billion in foreign in financial year 2022-23. So the question arises here: what is the need for the policy? Here we can see the answer to this question, that a clearly demarcated foreign trade policy is required for promoting exports through collaboration, ease of doing business, identifying potential areas of trade relations, and beneficial integration into the global economy. You know, these policies help in in our exports. We need a collaboration between the countries, the ease of doing business, what are their tariffs, the understanding between two countries, and we can see potential areas of trade relations and beneficial integration into the global economy, how we can contribute to the global economy. And also the policy lays out clear roles for different stakeholders and lays out a vision for India's foreign trade. About India's trade profile financial for financial year 2022-23, we could see it here. India's exports, it has increased drastically from 2016 to 2022-23. In 2026, we could see it here that it was only 435 billion, which was very good at that time, and now in 2022 it jumped to 55.4%, that is 676 billion. And in financial year 23, we could see that it reached 760 billion. About India's export target, we have $2 trillion for goods and services by 2030. In merchandise trade deficit, we could see here it is 266. In services trade, in service we have trade surplus. It is and in overall trade we are at deficit in financial year 2022-23. What are India's top export commodities? We have petroleum, electronic goods, rice, chemicals, drugs, and pharmaceuticals. India's top import source stations, where from we get most of the resources, most of our imports. It is China is at the top. Then we have USA, UAE, then USA and Russia. About these things, these are very static and very factual. These questions may come in our exams, so we should know that who are the top import source nations and who are top export in import. The top import sources China, UAE, USA, Russia, and in top export destinations for us is USA, then UAE, Netherlands, and China. Then, what are the four pillars of new FTP approach? It is from incentivizing to tax remissions. Then we can see greater trade facilitation through technology, automation, and continuous process reengineering. Then we have export promotion through collaboration, exporters, states, districts. Then we have focus on emerging areas, e-commerce, exports, developing districts as export hubs, streamlining, that is SCOMET policy. About this we would read. Now here we have to see about trade facilitation and ease of doing business. About trade facilitation is the simplification, modernization, and harmonization of export and import processes. It is the process by which we can simplify, modernize, and harmonize and the export process, and ease of doing business acts as a yardstick to measure this simplification and harmonization. What are the initiatives taken? We have National Committee on Trade Facilitation. It helps in facilitating, or it helps us to facilitate coordination and implementation of World Trade Organization's Trade Facilitation Agreement. About World Trade Organization Trade Facilitation Agreement, it came into force in 2017 to address the issues of red tape across borders and streamline the movement of goods. Then initiatives by Directorate General of Foreign Trade. This term would come often in today's lecture, so I would prefer to use its abbreviated form, which is DGFT. Let's discuss this again. The initiatives by Directorate General of Foreign Trade. Uh, it acts as a facilitator of export and imports. It also consults various export promotion councils and trade and industry bodies. Then we have Niryat Bandhu being implemented for mentoring new and potential exporters. Then issuance of EIEC, which is Electronic Importer Export Code. IEC is a 10-character alphanumeric number allotted to any entity and is mandatory for undertaking any export-import activity. Then we have E-Certificate of Origin, which is online facility for certificate of origin. E-Certificate of Origin, it has a unique number, that is UDIN, which is Unique Document Identification Number, and a QR code for validation. And we have online facility to file quality control and trade disputes. Then initiatives for trade facilitation at customs, we have 24/7 customs clearance in 20 seaports and 17 airports. We have single window in customs. We have e-Sanchit enabling paperless clearance environment. Then we have Pan India implementation of faceless e-assessment in imports. Then we have Torrent Customs and Torrent Suvidha Kendras for contactless customs clearance process. Towns of export excellence for development and growth of export production centers. We have selected towns. The selected towns producing goods of rupees 750 crore or more may be notified as TE based on the potential for growth in exports. For example, tea in handloom, handicraft, agriculture, and fisheries sector threshold limit would be rupees 150 crore. So uh, uh, these towns of export excellence, they these are the towns producing goods of rupees 750 crore or more. They may be notified as TE based on the potential for growth in exports. Then its threshold limit would be rupees 1.50 crore. Then we have rationalization of the criteria of status holder certification. About stakeholder certification is to recognize exporter firms as business leaders who have excelled in international trade and have contributed to the country's foreign trade. Then we have privileges to status holders include clearance on a self-declaration basis, exemptions from various documents, preferential treatment in consignment handling, and what are the four pillars of TFA? It is technology, transparency, infrastructure augmentation, and simplification of procedures and risk-based assessment. And then we have export promotion initiatives by FTP 2023. About export promotion refers to initiatives which enhance the potential of export activities at the company, industry, state, or national level. The following initiatives have been taken to fulfill this initiative. We have the initiatives are as districts as export hubs initiative, an institutional mechanism at the state and district level to strategize exports, state export promotion committee and district export promotion committee DEPC, and preparation of district export action plan by DEPCs and their online monitoring. Then we have export promotion outreach program in districts to focus on branding, packaging, design and marketing of identified products and services. Then we have districts to focus on the development of logistics, testing facilities, connectivity for export and other export-oriented ecosystem. We have convergence of ongoing schemes to support these initiatives. Then the other initiative is export promotion of capital goods scheme. Its objective is to facilitate the import of capital goods for producing quality goods and services and enhance India's manufacturing competitiveness. It allows the import of capital goods at zero customs duty. About the eligibility, it covers manufacturer exports, merchant exporters, and service providers who are certified as common service providers by the DGFT. Export obligations. Uh, Imports under EPCG, which is the export promotion of capital goods, are subject to average export obligation AU. However, some sectors have been exempted from average export obligations requirements. Then another initiative is export promotion units. Eligible units which export their entire production of goods and services may be set up under the export oriented unit scheme. Then we have electronics hardware technology park scheme, software technology park scheme. Then we have our biotechnology park scheme for the manufacturing of goods. Trading units are not covered under these schemes. Its objective is to promote export, enhance foreign exchange earnings, and attract investment for export production and employment generation. And we have deemed exports definition. Deemed exports refer to those transactions in which goods supplied do not leave the country, and payment for such supplies is received either in Indian rupees or in free foreign exchange. In simpler terms, under deemed export, the goods can be sold within India to anybody who holds a license for the import of these very goods. The seller selling the said goods against an import license is the deemed exporter, and the buyer is the deemed importer. Its objective is to provide a level playing field to domestic manufacturers and to promote Make in India. Other initiatives by FTP 2023 are Quality Complaints and Trade Disputes. Committee on Quality Complaints and Trade Disputes will be constituted in the regional authorities of DGFT, Directorate General of Foreign Trade. Then about Quality Committee on Quality Complaints and Trade Disputes will be responsible for ensuring and investigating all quality-related complaints and other trade-related complaints falling under the jurisdiction of the respective regional authorities. It will take effective steps to resolve the grievances of the importers, exporters, and overseas buyers, sellers, preferably within 3 months. Under coverage under this mechanism, complaints disputes between two or more Indian entities are not covered. Similarly, complaints disputes between two or more foreign entities are not also covered. Nature: the Committee on Quality Complaints and Trade Disputes proceedings are conciliatory in nature, and the aggrieved party is free to pursue any legal recourse against the other erring party. Then we have promoting cross-border trade in digital economy. Here we could see that promotion of e-commerce exports. We have Niryat Bandhu scheme shall have a component for the promotion of e-commerce and other emerging channels of export. Then we have DGFT. In this DGFT, Directorate General of Foreign Trade, shall organize outreach activities, workshops in partnership with the customs authorities, the Department of Post Industry partners, and knowledge partners for the promotion of e-commerce export. About e-commerce export hubs, to establish designated areas as e-commerce export hubs, which would act as a center for favorable business infrastructure and facilities for cross-border e-commerce activities. About creation, e-commerce export hubs may be set up through private initiative and in public-private partnership mode. Nature of ECH operations: ECH will function to achieve agglomeration benefits from e-commerce exporters. ECH shall provide for storage, packaging, labeling, certification and testing, and other common facilities for the purpose of export, and also dedicated logistics infrastructure for connecting to and leveraging the services of the nearest logistic hub. Then about titlements, e-commerce export hubs may be provided financial assistance under the Market Access Initiative scheme. Then we have promotion of e-commerce exports through postal route. We have Daggar Niryat Kendriya which shall be operationalized through the country to work in hub and spoke model and with foreign post offices to facilitate cross-border e-commerce. Then we have duty exemption remission schemes, advanced authorization import under advanced authorizations are exempted from payment of basic customs duty, additional customs duty, education cess, anti-dumping duty, countervailing duty, safeguard duty, transition products, specific safeguard duty, wherever applicable. This duty-free import authorization shall be exempted only for payments of basic customs duty. Schemes for remission of duties and taxes on exported products. Its objective is to refund currently unrefunded duties, taxes, levies at the central, state, and local level borne on the exported products. It was notified by the Department of Commerce, Ministry of Commerce and Industry, and is administered by the Department of Revenue, Ministry of Finance. Then we have SCOMET: special chemicals, organisms, materials, equipment, and technologies. Here we could see that the regulations of dual-use items in consonance with the guidelines and control list of international conventions and obligations, as well as multilateral export control regimes. India has regulated the export of dual-use items, nuclear-related items, including software and technology. It is either prohibited or permitted under an authorization unless specifically exempted. About SCOMET list, it is India's national export control list and is aligned to the control list of all the multilateral export control regimes and conventions. SCOMET items are regulated under the Weapons of Mass Destruction and Their Delivery System Prohibition of Unlawful Activities Act 2005. Imported goods covered under the SCOMET list are not permitted for export. Then our next topic is de-dollarization. About de-dollarization, countries which are emerging as the economic powers, they are trying to secede away from the dominance of the US dollar. So they are trying to, uplift their currencies and, get away from their dollar's dominance. So in this regard, we would discuss how it is done and what are its advantages. Here we could see that the BRICS, when it is the news of, this thing, this PPT is of the month of April 2023. Then, the addition of BRICS was not underwent. So here, when I would say BRICS, it means Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa only. So BRICS notions are in the process. They were in the process of creating a new currency for payments, which is BRICS currency. That will be used for cross-border trade. In recent times, the BRICS has emerged as an institution which is challenging the dominance of the Western world in the economic sphere. Also, India and Malaysia, they have agreed to settle trade in Indian rupees in addition to current modes of settlement in other currencies. These are seen as a major step towards de-dollarization. About what is de-dollarization, we could see it from here that it refers to the process wherein countries tend to reduce their reliance on the US dollar as a reserve currency, medium of exchange, and also as a unit of account. It has also gained momentum to undermine the dominance of the US. The status of the dollar was enhanced by the Bretton Woods system, for example, IMF and World Bank, which essentially eliminated other developed market currencies from competing with the USD. Here we could also see that Russia, China, Brazil, and India are significant economies that are emphasizing on the dollarization. What are the determinants of global currency? It should be open economy. It is capital account convertibility should be easy. Then political economic stability should be there, and acceptability and trust. Why can't Chinese currency? Why that can't be given the status as we give to the Russian, as we give to the US dollar, because the trust is not on them, on that currency. So these are the main points which a global currency should have. The currency to which we want to trade in, their economy should be open. It should be capital account convertibility, political economic stability should be there, and acceptability and what is the need reasons for the de-dollarization? We could see it here: weaponization of trade, imposition of sanctions. As we could see that the USA, they often are involved in imposition of sanctions whenever their interests are not met by any country. So to get away from this, world when to for world to get away from those sanctions and those unnecessary economic sanctions, this de-dollarization thing should happen. So about here we could read it from this: weaponization of trade, imposition of sanctions, and exclusion from SWIFT, which is a Society for Worldwide Interbank Financial Telecommunication. It creates impediments for countries to carry out trade. For instance, sanctions were imposed on Russia after the Ukraine war, Iran after the US withdrew from the Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action. Then we could also see US uses sanctions as a cost-free way to fight with other countries without risking troops, ability to blacklist an individual, an institution, or an entire nation from the usage of the dollar has powerful and immediate consequences. It will insulate them from it would insulate them from geopolitical risks where the status of the USD as a reserve currency can be used as an offensive weapon. And we have new emerging economies. Rise of Russia as an economic powerhouse has raised the importance of currencies like the Indian rupees and the yuan, Chinese yuan. Then we have diversification, multi-currency foreign currency reserves reduce the pressure on external sectors. Then we have promoting local currencies. Trading in local currencies allow exporters and importers to balance risks, have more options to invest, to have more certainty about the revenues and sales. Then we could see macroeconomic effect. Dominance of USD allows the US to manipulate the global financial system to its own benefits, often at the expenses of others, especially in terms of interest rates. What are the initiatives for de-dollarization? We could see there are bilateral initiatives. For example, Russia has signed an exclusive order in March 2022 that forbade unfriendly countries from settling natural gas contracts in any currency other than the ruble. Also, China has established the RMB, renminbi trading centers in Hong Kong, Singapore, and Europe. Also, Russia-China payment system was set up that bypass SWIFT and combines the Russian SPFS, which is system for transfer of financial messages, and the Chinese CIPS cross-border interbank payment system. Then we have multilateral efforts. In 2021, the People's Bank of China submitted a global sovereign digital currency governance proposal at the Bank for International Settlements to influence global financial rules via its digital currency, the yuan. Also, African Continental Free Trade Area is promoting intra-African trade using local currencies. We have European Central Bank targets targets two system enables EU member countries to conduct trade and financial transactions in euros. Then we have India's efforts. The demand for the rupee is rising as a result of the booming commerce and investment in the domestic market. What are the initiatives taken for the internationalization of rupee? We could see cross-border borrowings in rupee, introduction of rupee-denominated bonds, for example, masala bonds, which you would have studied in the economy since 2014, allowing Indian corporate to issue rupee-denominated bond overseas. Then we have trade settlement in rupees, the biggest development in July 2022, in which RBI issued a comprehensive framework to allow trade settlement in rupees through special escrow accounts. Then we have currency swaps, 23 currency swaps agreed since 2018 with other nations, including UAE, SAARC member countries, etc., in a bid to promote internationalization of rupee. Then other measures are exploration on domestic currencies used for regional trade settlement at Asian Clearing Union, enabling conditions to link domestic rupee interest rates and currency markets with the offshore rupee markets. Then we have permitting primary dealers to act as market makers in the forex market to improve market liquidity and etc. Now our third topic of discussion is gig economy. Usually, gig economy is a free market system in which temporary positions are common and organizations contract with the independent workers for short-term engagement. For example, its biggest example is Zomato workers or Swiggy workers, those delivery people. You know, let's discuss about it why it is in news. Recently, we could see Blinkit delivery agents went on strike as a reason to change in their pay structure. About this protest, the protests are primarily happening at dark stores. About gig economy, we don't have a motor stone stores there, so it is everything happens on apps. So we don't have any brick and mortar location where this in layman's language, we don't have any offices for that, and very less offices, or we could say this, and we can say this is a kind of a digital commerce happening. This is related to it. These protests are rising as here we can see that these protests are the rising conflict between workers and firms in the gig economy. A dark store is a brick and mortar location that has been shut down and turned into a center for fulfillment operations. About a, about gig economy, it is a free market system in which temporary positions are common and organizations contract with independent workers for short-term engagements. Gig workers are those engaged in livelihood outside the traditional employer-employee arrangement. They can be broadly classified into platform gig workers, those whose work is based on online software apps, or digital platforms such as food aggregators platforms Zomato, Swiggy, Ola, and others. And then we have non-platform gig workers. They are generally casual waged and own account workers in the conventional sector engaged part-time or full-time. About gig economy in India, 70 here we can see that 77 lakh gig workers are in India in 2020 to 21. 56% of the new employment in India is being generated through it and can serve up to 90 million jobs in the non-farm sector in India. Gig workforce in India: retail, trade and sales. We could see transportation and finance and insurance, manufacturing and education. Then about the gig workforce jobs in India, high we could see here 20%, 22% is high skilled job, 47% are medium skilled jobs, and low skilled jobs are 31%. They are usually those delivery partners. What are the reasons for increase in gig economy? We have widespread access to the internet, rapid increase in the startup ecosystem. Then we have interoperability of the platform. We have changing work approach, rising demand for contractual employees. What are the benefits of a gig economy for consumers? Personalized service. We have transaction costs are very low. Product of all kinds are delivered almost anywhere, anytime. Then for workers, flexibility is their independence, is their access to opportunity, work-life balance. For companies, we have low cost, a diverse pool of flexible workers, low administrative and compliance costs. What are the regulatory framework of gig economy in India? The Code on Wage 2019, it provides the universal minimum wage and floor wage across organized and unorganized sectors, including gig workers. Then we have Code on Social Security 2020. It seeks to protect gig workers' rights by giving them social security protection. It attempts to define gig platform and unorganized workers while spelling out entitlements. It also proposes to establish a Social Security Fund and a National Social Security Board to supervise and formulate schemes for the well-being of gig and platform workers. Then our next topic is Stand Up India. Prime Minister acknowledged Stand Up India's role in empowering the SC/ST communities, women, and job creation at the completion of 7 years of the scheme. This is the Stand Up scheme. About this scheme, it was launched in 2016 under the Ministry of Finance, Government of India. This scheme has been extended up to 2025. Its objective was to promote entrepreneurship among scheduled castes, scheduled tribes, and women. Uh, Features tribes. It covers all branches of scheduled commercial bank loan up of 10 to uh, 100 lakhs to at least one SC/ST and one woman borrower per branch. Applicants can draw up to 10 lakhs as working capital by an overdraft. The government does not allocate funds for loan under Stand Up India scheme. It can be accessed in three potential ways: either direct at the branch through Stand Up India portal or through the lead district manager. About Stand Up India scheme, we have how lead district manager, how they connect centers. We have connect centers with bees, we have connect center nabad, how they provide funds, what are the schemes. We have rural self-employment, we have vocational training center, we have MSME development institutions, we have state SC/ST department, financial cooperation industry association, we have district industries, we have Dalit Indian Chamber of Commerce and Industry, we have skilling centers and women entrepreneur association. What is the eligibility criteria here? It is eligibility criteria, either it should be from social caste or social tribe, or woman above 18 years of age. Loan available for setting up greenfield scheduled caste, or sorry, scheduled tribe, or woman above 18 years of age. Loan is available for setting up greenfield projects. Borrower should not be in default to any bank or financial institution, and at least 51% of stake should be held by an SC/ST or woman entrepreneur for a non-individual enterprise. What are the achievements of the scheme till March 2023? Over 40,000 crores sanctioned, over 0.18 billion borrowers, over 0.13 million bank branches connected, and over 75% of the borrowers are women under this scheme. What is the significance of the scheme? Identification of prospective entrepreneurs, linking prospective borrowers to banks for loans, linking through an online portal developed by the Small Industries Development Bank of India, which is SIDBI. Then we have collateral-free loans. To extend collateral-free coverage, the government has set up the Credit Guarantee Fund for Stand Up India. Then we have financial inclusion. It is based on funding the unfunded and has ensured the availability of credit to SC, ST, and women entrepreneurs. Then we have easy repayment schedule, as entrepreneurs can repay the loan in 7 years. Only a certain amount has to be repaid each year according to the borrower's preference. What are the government schemes for Startup India? We have Startup Leadership Program, the Stand Up India Scheme, Startup India Initiative, Atal Innovation Mission, Startup India Speed Fund Scheme, Pradhan Mantri Mudra Yojana. We have Credit Guarantee Trust Fund. We have Venture Capital Assistance Scheme, Single Point Registration, Aspire, Raw Material Assistance Scheme, Design Clinic Scheme. Now, one of the important article is transfer pricing. Here, what we have to know that the Supreme Court altered the approach to resolving transfer pricing disputes in India. Supreme Court set aside an earlier Karnataka High Court ruling which held that in transfer pricing matters, the determination of the arm's length price by the income tax appellate tribunal is final and cannot be subjected to the judicial scrutiny. This transfer pricing is it happens when the companies try to evade the taxes. So what they do, that they show their profits or losses. They show that there is some other company. With that company, they share their profits and loss and evade the taxes. About this we will discuss more. The apex court now held that any ALP, which is arm's length price determined outside the purview of relevant transfer pricing provision in the Income Tax Act, can be considered as perverse, unjust, and in such case decision of the tribunal is not final. In such case, both the Indian revenue authorities as well as taxpayers can approach a high court after a decision by the ITAT, which is Income Tax Appellate Tribunal. The SC ruling has restored transfer pricing issue to the same pedestal as other tax issues in India. About ITAT is a quasi-judicial institution set up in 1941. It specializes in dealing with appeals under the Direct Taxes Act. The orders passed by the ITAT are final, and appeal lies to the High Court only if a substantial question of law arises for determination. Starting with three branches at Delhi, Kolkata, and Mumbai, the number of branches have progressively increased, and presently it has 63 branches in 27 different stations. About transfer pricing, it is an accounting practice that allows for the establishment of prices for the goods and services exchanged between divisions, subsidiaries, or affiliates that are part of the larger enterprises. Usually, companies use transfer pricing to reduce the overall tax burden of the parent company. This is done by charging a higher price to subsidiaries in high tax countries and lower price to the subsidiaries in low, while in low price for subsidies in low tax countries. As I mentioned, it is that way to evade the taxes. About arm's length principle, ALP, it was agreed upon by all OECD member countries and adopted as an objective guideline for use by multinational companies and tax administrations in international taxation. It means that the prices a company pays to purchase goods or services from a related company entity should be the same as if the two entities were unrelated. There should be no price adjustment or special conditions for the transaction simply because the parties are related legal entities. Its objective is to avoid the erosion of the tax base or the transfer of profits to the low tax jurisdiction. In India, transfer pricing and ALP provisions are contained in Chapter 10 of Income Tax Act 1961, and arm's length price is determined by the assessing officer. Then our next topic is markets and crypto assets, which is MiCA. The European Parliament has recently passed the Markets and Crypto Assets MiCA legislation, which is expected to regulate the crypto industry. It is considered as the first set of regulations in the world establishing a legal framework for crypto asset services providers as well as consumer protection. MiCA will apply directly across the European Union without any need for national implementation laws. Also, MiCA regulations focus on certain categories of crypto assets which are currently out of scope of existing regulation, that is, it does not apply to non-fungible tokens, decentralized finance, and central bank digital currencies. Also, MiCA distinguishes between different types of crypto assets and provides regulatory requirements specific to each category. Subcategorization of crypto assets: electronic money tokens, asset reference tokens, utility tokens. MiCA is a part of the European Commission's digital finance strategy, which also includes the DLT pilot regime and the Digital Operation Resilience Act, which is DORA. What are the attempts to regulate crypto assets in India? Here in 2017, RBI issued caution on holding virtual currencies, currencies in India and are considered to be illegal. In 2019, RBI held the trading, holding, and mining of crypto coins in India as illegal and imposed a fine of 10 lakhs. Then in 2020, the Supreme Court it nullified the ban by RBI and advocated the government to take decisions over the same. In 2022, a 30% tax was levied on the income earned from the transfer of virtual assets by the finance minister. In 2022, its the government has set up a panel to explore the possibility of issuing a central bank digital currency and was successfully issued as a pilot run in retail banking segment. In 2023, all transactions involving virtual digital assets are brought under the purview of Prevention of Money Laundering Act. Then we have Digital Services Act. The European Union has confirmed the names of 19 platforms that will be subject to its online content rules under Digital Services Act. The content rules under the Digital Services Act aim at tightly regulating the way big technology platforms moderate user content. The entities identified by the EU for the strictest level of regulation under the DSA include Alibaba, Amazon, Apple, Facebook, Google, Instagram, among others. About Digital Services Act, DSA is a first of a kind regulatory toolbox globally and sets a benchmark for a regulatory approach to online intermediaries. In 2020, DSA, together with the Digital Markets Act, proposed a comprehensive framework to ensure a safer, more fair digital space will be applicable from 2024. Digital Markets Act affects gatekeeper platforms like Google, Amazon, Meta, and covers the need for user consent before processing personal data for targeted advertising. What are the key provisions? India's IT rules, Information Technology Rules 2002, EU's DSA. Scope: India's IT rules they apply to social media intermediaries, digital news publishers, and OTT platforms operating in India, irrespective of their country. About EU's DSA, DSA applies to a wider range of online platforms, including social media, online marketing, and cloud computing services operating in EU, irrespective of their country. Then content moderation rules require for IT. Indian IT rules require social media intermediaries to appoint a grievance officer, a nodal officer, and a chief compliance officer, and establish a mechanism for receiving and resolving complaints from users. For DSA proposes a range of compliance requirements for online platforms, including content moderation measures, transparency obligations, and data protection requirements. Now, our next article is a national gas grid. As here we can see that the Bihar portion of the Baruni to Guwahati pipeline, which connects Bihar to national gas grid, was completed recently. About the national gas grid, it is a 33,764 kilometers long natural gas pipeline network that the center has started to connect all major supply and demand centers in the country under the purview of Petroleum and Natural Gas Regulatory Board. The, the grid, when fully established, will ensure easy availability of natural gas across all regions of the country and reduce our reliance on crude oil. Out of this, around 21,500 kilometer natural gas pipelines are operational, and a total of around 13,500 kilometer lengths of pipeline is under various stages of construction. About National Petroleum and Natural Gas Regulatory Board, it was established under the Petroleum and Natural Gas Regulatory Board Act 2006. It aims to protect the interests of consumers and entities engaged in specified activities relating to petroleum products, and natural gas, and to promote competitive market. It also oversees petroleum products, pipelines construction, and also a gas exchange for the trading of natural gas in India. It is the authority to grant authorization to the entities for the development of city gas distribution network in geographical areas. It is under Ministry of Petroleum and Natural Gas. Other measures to develop natural gas grid, we have Pradhan Mantri Urja Ganga project. It is a gas pipeline project that aims to provide uninterrupted cooking gas to households in UP, Bihar, Jharkhand, West Bengal, and Odisha. It is also known as Jagdishpur, Haldia, and Bokoro Dhamra pipeline project. The 2,655 kilometer long pipeline project connects the eastern states to the national gas grid. Northeast Gas Grid, it is a 1656 kilometer long pipeline which aims to connect the 8 northeastern states to the national gas grid. City Gas Distribution Network, the network currently covers more than 400 districts in 27 states and UTs. It consists of four distinct segments, namely delivery of CNG for automobile usage in cities, delivery of PNG for domestic, commercial, and industrial usage. Now, our next topic is about aquaculture sector. The Ministry of Fisheries, Animal Husbandry and Dairy introduced the Coastal Aquaculture Authority Amendment Bill 2023. The bill seeks to amend certain provisions of the Coastal Aquaculture Authority Act 2005 and decriminalize offences under it. This 2005 Act established the Coastal Aquaculture Authority for regulating coastal aquaculture. It aims at promoting ease of doing business and fine-tuning the operational procedures of the Coastal Aquaculture Authority. Features of the bill: it defines the aquaculture. It basically refers to the breeding, rearing, and harvesting of fish, shellfish, algae, and other organisms in all types of water environment. Then, about coastal aquaculture, the amended bill defines coastal aquaculture as the rearing and cultivation of any life stages of fish, including crustaceans, mollusks, finfish, seaweed, or any other aquatic life under controlled conditions, either indoor or outdoor, in saline or brackish water in coastal areas. It also includes activities such as the production of broodstock, seed, and grow out, but does not include freshwater aquaculture. Scope: it expands the scope of the Constitutional Amendment Act beyond coastal aquacultural forms to cover all the verticals and activities of coastal aquaculture for its sustainable development. Regulations of allied coastal aquaculture activities: the bill prohibits coastal aquaculture activities in ecological sensitive areas, non-development zones, and within coastal regulation zones. Although some allied activities like seaweed culture, nucleus breeding centers, etc., have exemptions from these regulations. About Coastal Aquaculture Authority, sorry, I mentioned it as Constitutional Amendment Act. I'm really sorry for that. It is Coastal Aquaculture Authority. It is a statutory body established under the Coastal Aquaculture Authority Act 2005. It functions under the Ministry for Fisheries, Animal Husbandry and Dairy to regulate about objective to regulate coastal aquaculture activities in coastal areas in order to ensure sustainable development without causing damage to the coastal environment. About its functions: regulating the construction and operation of aquaculture farms in coastal areas, inspection of farms to ascertain their environmental impact, Restoration of aquaculture farms, then we have fixing standards for inputs and effluents, then removal and demolition of coastal aquaculture farms which cause pollution. About its composition, it comprises of 11 members, including the chairperson, who is or has been a judge of a high court. Then about India's fisheries sector, India in first in inland capture fish production, second in aquaculture fish production, third in overall fish production, and fourth in export of fish and fisheries production. So let us remember these facts. India is first in inland capture fish production, second in aquaculture fish production, third in overall fish production, and fourth in export of fish and fisheries product. About government initiatives, fisheries and aquaculture infrastructure development fund. Then we have Pradhan Mantri Matsya Sampada Yojana. Then we have production linked incentive scheme for food processing industry. Then we have 100% FDI allowed through automatic route in pisciculture and aquaculture. Now, our last topic of today's discussion is agri-tech, which is Atal Innovation Mission. Niti Aayog and United Nations Capital Development Fund have jointly launched a white paper aimed at making India a global leader in agri-tech innovation. About India's agri-tech sector, agri-tech is the use of innovation and technology for farming that is developed to enhance profitability and efficiency. Agri-tech can be used in agriculture, horticulture, aquaculture, forestry, and viticulture. Steps taken for agri-tech in India: we have National Agriculture Market, which is eNAM, is a digital platform integrating agriculture, produce, and livestock market committee, APMC mandis. Then we have Submission on Agricultural Mechanization, which is abbreviated as SAMAM, increasing the reach of farm mechanization to small and marginal. Then we have Promoting Custom Hiring Centers. Then we have Direct Benefit Transfer Central Agri Portal. We should know about these steps like National Agriculture e-National Market, Agriculture Market, or SAMAM, which is Submission on Agriculture Mechanization. Such questions may come in exam, as there are farmers protests going on, so such questions may be asked. What it is, what is the purpose of it, or it is related to what. Also, we can see 1% agri-tech penetration in India, and 40% contribution of farm mechanization compared to US's 95%, Brazil 75%, and China's 57%. About the application of technologies involved in agriculture, we have farm mechanization like drones, robotics, etc. Then we have climate smart agriculture. Then we have biotechnology and genetic modification. Then we have biofortification. Then we have digital technologies such as AI, remote sensing, big data, blockchains, and others. So, with this, we complete today's discussion. I hope I was able to deliver the information properly. If there are any mistakes, so please do text that. I will correct myself if I'm wrong, and please do subscribe to this channel. It would give me hopes that I could do something better in this platform, and that would be a kind of appreciation. It takes a lot of time to create such videos, it takes a lot of time to create such PPTs. I have to collect information from different sources, and then I have to compile it. So maybe right now I may not be that well experienced in expressing the knowledge, but by time, I will promise you, I would be very much ready. And as I had told you earlier, from the 1st of July I would start the online course on YouTube, in which we would discuss all the important subjects, the mainly which are polity, history, ecology and environment, economy, science and tech. These five subjects would be studied in detail for the next year's prelims, which would come in 2025, and we would take up every day. I would take up the daily news analysis, which would be based on the Hindu newspaper and Indian Express. and then I would take up a daily quiz which would consist of at least 10 to 15 questions. With with respect to those questions, we would discuss different topics. My goal would be before 2025 prelims, I would try to complete at least 5,000 questions, 5,000 different concepts which would be discussed with you guys. So please stay with me. It would be my aim, to deliver all this information to you. And please do subscribe to this channel, do like the video, and please don't write anything which would demotivate me. If you have to write anything in the comments, please write good or what I can improve, please. That would be uh, what I would that is what I would love about it. And thank you very much for staying with me. May God bless you. May you succeed in your life. Thank you.